I grew up a godfather.
Yeah.
It was gangsterism. I was arrested in Pretoria in 97 in Mosan as we were on trial because, it was just a process of you were arrested over the weekend, you got to appear in court on Monday.
That justice process,
yes,
court process.
And then they denied us bail.
Good day, ladies and gentlemen. It is that time again to watch our beautiful and our own interesting podcast, which is called Town-Tok. Now, I'm told that we need to like our page, subscribe, and share. And don't forget to sit back and listen. Today, we have decided to come up with something very different. Yes, we have all the other episodes. Now, what we want to do is to educate, to inform and entertain our followers on YouTube. So it is an undisputed fact that when you are on YouTube, you are international. You'd find other people like wanting to know certain information, but they are somewhere far. Maybe they are committed in terms of jobs or in terms of work and any other thing, but they would want to know what's happening back home. But that's what we're trying to do. We want to amplify and give you information about the people that you may know, people that you may have worked with. Without stealing the thunder of our guest, we have Mr. Loyiso Barnes. Welcome, Loyiso.
Thank you, Mzee.
It is a great pleasure to have a golfer. Today, we are playing golf, but sidlala ngomlomo. We'll hear a lot of things, a lot of jargon that is being used. Without the waste of time, sifuna ukwazi la awuthile elankele ukuthi vela kuphi le ubani uLoyiso. Who is Loyiso? Where is he coming from?
Mzee, uLoyiso, he was born in East London.
Emonti.
In Frere Hospital.
Wow.
Back in the late 60s. But the most fortunate part about us, we've got this surname of being Barnes.
Okay.
And I was always curious to try and find out why thina singamaXhosa kodwa sibizwa ngoBarnes.
Hayibo.
And things were kept under wraps. Elderly people were so secretive. There were so many things that were hidden from us. But evidently, as you grow up as a young man, I grew up in Davidton.
Okay.
After we left East London, due to the situation that came up at home when my mother and my dad decided to call it quits.
Okay.
They got separated and we moved to my mom's home background.
Yes.
In Davidton.
Yes.
So I grew up in Davidton from the early 80s.
Yes. What are some of the things, maybe, let me not use the things, but what are some of the sporting codes that you were exposed to? What are some of the games that were played, Ekasi, Estradini, Khonchini, everywhere? What are some of those games that we played when we were growing up?
If you remember back in the days, we used to have Utatu Twanini,
okay,
Epele 1, because we were staying in Pele 2.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Epele 1 is a street name.
It's a street name.
Yeah, at Davidton.
Yes, at Davidton. Emaxhoseni.
Yes.
That's the section called Emaxhoseni. Davidton has always been called in different tribal sections.
Yes.
So we grew up in Emaxhoseni as we were Xhosas.
Yes.
So Kutwanini, we were playing football. The team was called the Brave Lions.
Wow.
So we played. So I played soccer for not very long. Because it's a street situation.
Yes.
Where you grow up and your mates are playing soccer, and you decide also, let me go on over the weekend, also on Saturdays, to go and play soccer with the friends.
Yeah.
And then we became part of that team.
Yes, Brave Lions.
Brave Lions.
Yeah, Ekasi batin bati club etamala kamlanki.
Yeah.
Yeah, we picked up as we were doing research. Yes. When you were coming here, we didn't just wait for you, but we did some research. Yes. What were the colors of that club?
It was a white kit with the blue stripes.
Wow, wonderful. That's what we picked up as well. What was your jersey number? What was your position?
Number 2.
Number 2.
I was a left back.
Okay, that was great. Now, knowing that you also play sport, you play soccer. Now, the big thing, you move from a big ball to a small ball.
Yes.
Now, What attracted you? What changed your mind to say, let me try a small ball from a big ball?
You know, Mzi, golf back in the days, it was more of, we didn't really know much about it.
Yes.
As we were growing up in the township. But there were guys who were caddies.
Yes.
A section in.
Yeah.
So now what transpired was that the guys would go out on weekends to go and caddy.
Mm-hmm.
So one of my friends, Patrick.
Yes. Patrick
Shipan from Ebomba, he said to me, hey, Choma man, let's go and try and make some cash.
Yes.
I have no idea what
Yes.
was that cash going to be made from.
Mm-hmm.
So we would hike from a freeway.
Yes.
If you remember back in the days.
And on the N12.
And the N12,
Yes.
which is N12 now.
Yeah.
On that Springs Davidton off-ramp.
Yes.
So we would hike from there to Springs in town. And then we went on to Keddy. And at home, they never knew. They thought maybe I've gone out to play soccer.
Okay.
But we'd leave early in the morning.
Yeah.
We come back around about 2 or 3 in the afternoon.
Yes.
Sometimes you made a bit of cash. I mean, we were kidding for, the tip back then was like 75 cents.
Wow.
So I carried at Springs, first of all.
Yes.
And then, you know, as we realized that, you know, there were those guys which were called tail,
Yeah.
who were riding bikes, and they would chase us by the freeway. When you hear those bikers, you would run
Yeah.
away because we felt, you know, they were a danger to society. We were scared
Yes.
of them.
Yes.
How they perceived, how they were perceived and how they looked like.
Yes. Yes.
So evidently, we went to Benoni Country Club,
Okay.
which was called Ichangel,
Yeah.
which would take a train and get off at Fundrain Station, and then we walk over the freeway. But back then, it was not so much of a freeway. It was more like
Yes.
just that two-way road.
Yes. I'm told that people who are knowledgeable, yes, we know the golfers, mainstream yourselves and others, but you are coming up with this KD term. Now, we said we're going to be educated. What does who is a KD? What does the KD do in the field?
A caddy is the one who carries the bag, who helps the player,
Okay, the golf player.
the golf player.
Yes.
So that's how I got started. Started as a caddy myself.
Yes.
And then after a few months, we started looking at these guys playing, and then we felt, you know, you get to be hooked.
Yes.
And then we went to Davidton Golf Club
Okay.
because we had a golf course. We still have a golf course in Davidton.
Yes.
But the most unfortunate part, we'll get to it later.
Okay.
That golf course was the first golf course establishment in a black township in South Africa.
We never had any other township.
There were no
with
other
a golf
townships
course.
with a golf course. That golf course was established in 1965.
Yes. So,
And we went there, we played with some of my friends, Patrick and Mandla, another guy from Ebesutwin who was one of our friends as we were growing up as caddies.
yes.
And as the years went by, you know, you start realizing that you love this game. You're so hooked. Because point number one, the guys are dressing smartly.
Wow.
Golfers dress very well.
Yeah.
And, you know, in the 80s, those were the times, man. The 80s were the times where things were happening. In the
Yes.
township, there were times where it was like the riots, everything was happening. And the most fortunate part was that some of the guys that we used to carry for back then,
Yes.
we saw them as soldiers in the township
Wow.
because they were in the army. There was
Yes.
that kind of a prescription where the guys had to go to the army.
At the age of 18.
At the age of
they used to
18.
call it the national service.
Yes.
Yes.
So some of those guys, we could see them in the townships during those riots.
Yes.
But, you know, to be quite honest, Mzi, golf made a big difference in my life.
Yeah.
Hence, I'm where I am today, and hence, it has changed me as a person.
Yes.
Because as a caddy, started then,
Yes.
I developed the skills of playing, and of which it's a process.
Yes.
And we carried for good players. You know, we forgot the issue of money. The most important part was the skill that we get to develop. Caring for the normal club golfer, caring for the good players who were still juniors. Ernie Els, Ian Hutchings. I used to care for Ian Hutchings,
Wow.
who came from Zimbabwe, from
Okay.
Mashonaland.
Yes.
They were juniors. We were in the same age group, myself and Ernie and Ian.
Oh.
So those guys, we carried
You
for
mean
them.
Ernie Els?
Ernie Els
Ernie
himself,
Els.
yes.
Wow.
Yes. He was a member at Kempton Park back then. He used to play for Eastern Transvaal. The
Yes.
Eastern Transvaal uniform were the red pants and the white shirts.
Oh, okay.
So they were part of the development structure that was run by Roland Tackett,
Yes.
which was Bryn Tackett's father, and he had a son who was Bryn and Mark.
Yeah.
Those youngsters, there was so much, and we loved it because we were in the same age group with those guys. So
Yeah.
we developed so much skill by caring for them,
Yes.
now being good players, and then we would go out also and play the game ourselves. Now your skills become honed to a level where you can become a better player yourself, because now you got to understand the distances
Yes.
and how the player thinks. We worked around those things because we were growing up with the same guys.
Yes. And there's what we call jargon, which is the terminology that is used in and around the course or where the golf is played. I'm thinking of one question would be asked would be, what is your handicap? Perhaps maybe you can explain what is a handicap.
Okay, a handicap is a way of balancing the skills
Okay.
within golf, because there are low handicap players who have better skills
Okay.
than the middle handicap guys, which the low handicaps, the A division would be like from 9 and below.
Okay.
And then the mid-range, which would be from 10 up to 16, which those guys, they've got their own bracket where it balances the kind of strokes that you have to play against somebody else. If, let's say, I'm off a 2 now,
Yes.
and I'm playing against somebody who's off a 12, I must give that man 10 shots within the
okay.
18 holes that we're going to play.
You allow them to sort of develop as well as you play,
yes.
given the position. So basically, in simple terms, it is the position that you are at in terms of your skill.
Yes.
The higher the number, the lesser the skills.
Yes.
Meaning, like if you are handicapped 27,
Yes.
you have
still
low
need to be
skill.
taught. You still need to be taught quite a lot.
Oh, okay.
So that your handicap can drop down to the
Yeah.
mid-range numbers and a single-figure handicap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are some of those elements or some of the places within the course itself? The course is the field of play. And then what do you have? You have the bunker, the green, the pegs, and different clubs for different distances. If maybe you can put us through that.
First of all, Mzi, the golf course, it consists of certain holes. We've got par 5s, which are long holes, distance-wise.
Okay.
From, let's say, 420, 440, up to 580 to 560 in meters.
Those are meters.
Those,
okay.
yeah, those are the par 5s. And then we've got the par 4s, which ranges from about 320
Yes.
up to 400. Then we've got the par 3s,
Okay.
which are the short holes. That's where sometimes you find people hitting hole-in-ones.
Or
From the
when
tee
you
box.
put, or from
Yeah,
the tee,
from the
when
tee,
you
when
tee,
it tees off,
it gets into
and
the
then
hole.
he hits it and it goes in the hole. Those are the par 3s, which range from maybe, it could be 100
Yes.
to 180 or to 200.
200 meters.
200 meters.
Okay.
So it differs in ranges.
Yeah.
Then now those holes, that's what makes the number of golf, whereby in numbers of the rating, which we normally have like 10 par 4s,
Okay.
and then we'd have 4 par 3s, and then 4 par 5s. So when you add those, it works up probably to 72 in numbers. Then now, your rating as a handicap golfer, it will start from that average of 72. If you shoot 72 to 78, you could play maybe off a 6 handicap.
Yes.
That is your bracket where that range form of competency could be aligned to. And then the other guys are shooting the 80s, maybe 84, 85. They could be defined as B division players.
Okay.
So those par 5s, par 4s, of which per hole, if I'm playing a par 3,
Yes.
and I get down to, let's say I make a 2, it's called a birdie,
Yes.
which is 1 less.
Which is like
Than
an
a third.
ace. It's better. It's
No, a ace is a hole-in-one.
okay.
Yeah,
No,
on
I'm
a
saying
par
like if you say a birdie, it's a beautiful shot.
Yes.
You've
Now, the number of shots that you've played,
okay.
they are less than the average, which is a 4,
That's
or
a
a 3,
birdie.
or a 5.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Now I follow.
So on the par 5s, if I make 4, that's a birdie.
Yes.
On the par fours, which if I make 3, that's a birdie.
Yes.
On the par threes, if I make birdie, I make a 2, it's a birdie. So -1 amongst those.
Yes.
Then that is how you'll find, you might be confused at some stage when you're looking at the numbers. Where
On the scoreboard.
Yeah, where they've got red numbers. The red numbers, that means you're doing well, because in golf you need to score. And the winner comes when you've got the least number of shots.
Okay.
Yeah.
So red is not red for danger, it's red for success.
Red for success.
Okay.
Yeah. So
now
those
I
numbers,
get it.
in golf you've got to play the least number of shots.
Okay.
Amongst, if that from that level round of 72, if I shoot 69, 68, those are good rounds. Even 71, which is -1, you minus from that 72.
Okay.
Then you're giving yourself a chance to play a good round.
All right. We also learned that there's the clubs that you play with. They determine. You've got the wood, you've got the 5-iron. You have explained that in terms of meters and all that. And then you mentioned earlier that you've got what we call the best dressers are the golfers. So what do we call the place where you buy? I'm told it's a pro shop.
It's a pro shop, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Golf attire, you'll find it in the pro shop.
Yeah.
But, it differs the way things have happened over the years. But the pro shop has always been the golf shop where you can go and buy clothing.
Yes.
But due to the fact that, the globe, the world is it's like, as we say, it's a small world now.
Yes, it is.
Because we've got the Europeans, and the European attire was more like those brands like the Leyland Scott, Pringle, those brands, because it's cold in Europe.
Oh.
So the attire that the players were wearing in Europe,
yes,
it's always been, you got to always be warm.
Yes.
So the cotton has always been different back in the days. But now they've got so many things that they are using because the weather has changed all over.
Yeah.
And now the attire, it's gone to a point where sometimes it's like silk.
Yes.
There's so many designs that are different now, but the actual clothing, the material has changed.
Okay.
But the dressing up, you can see golf professionals, but now some of them, they wear even shorts because the climate has changed, and it's the changing of times that has got us to that point.
We have learned that also, Loyiso, that you are serving in the board, in the golf board. If you can, perhaps in few moments or few minutes, just share with us. I know perhaps there is a hierarchy, and all that, who is who in the zoo. Maybe take us through that. We've got associations.
I'm gonna just get into it as quick as I can so that we can save a bit of time.
Yes.
Well, as I started my golf in Davidton,
I
ended up playing and serving in the committee as a club captain. I served in that committee for 11 years.
Yes.
And as a club representative, we've got the body that is Ekurhuleni Golf Union.
Okay.
Back then, it was called not what EGU is now. It was Eastern Gauteng Golf Union.
Okay.
Back then, EGU. But now, everything was sort of like changed again because of, the administrative part and where things have got to be done in a manner which we minimize all these kind of situations that we're dealing with, coming to race issues and whatever.
Yes.
Golf now is a global game for everybody.
Yes.
It doesn't define race, that as it was called, it was a rich man's game and white people's game. We are all part of it now. Because as I come from Davidton, I ended up serving in the Eastern Gauteng Golf Union, which is now Ekurhuleni Golf Union.
Okay.
This rose, it represented.
Or the rose that appears on your cap there.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Benoni Country Club became a club which I carried from as I was growing up.
Yes.
Now I'm a member at Benoni Country Club.
Okay.
So it's Ekurhuleni Golf Union. From Davidton as a club captain, I moved to represent the club at the provincial union, mother body,
which is Gauteng.
Yes, Ekurhuleni Golf Union.
Oh, okay.
And then I served at the South African Golf Association, which was the mother body. Before now, the new body that has come through, which is Golf RSA.
Okay.
But SAGA is still part of Golf RSA. Women's golf, disabled golf. try and gather all those bodies to make one umbrella body. So that...
Oh, we also have people with disability that are playing.
Yes,
oh,
yes.
Great.
And they are well represented.
Oh, okay. That's
So
progressive.
Those kind of bodies, that is where now we serve.
Yes.
Like now also, when it comes to development now, I do it for Davidton.
Yes.
I do it at Benoni Country Club. And I do it for South African Golf Development Board,
Okay.
of which I just came back from a camp
Yeah.
in Mpumalanga as we speak.
Oh, okay. Now, before we get there, because I wanted you to paint a picture, if you were to be given like the Davidton golf course, or to reconstruct it, what would be those elements that you look into in revamping and refurbishing Davidton Golf Club or golf course? Sorry.
See, I'm going to get to some of the deep issues.
Okay.
But for me, it's no train smash, and I'm not worried about it.
Okay.
The reality has to be told.
Yes.
Our facilities in the township are being destroyed purely by people who are selfish and who are greedy and who don't seem to have the interest of a black child at heart. You go to all the townships.
Yes.
Now, if you don't engage with people who have money, especially the white people, because our black brothers, really, I'm not going to paint them black as we are.
Yeah.
But the reality is, very few of them have the interest at heart to build our townships to a better level, especially the politicians,
Yes.
because that is where the crux of the matter is at. People would ask you questions. Why aren't we succeeding in the upbringing of these kids to a certain level?
Yes.
It's easy for them to ask such questions when we're sitting in the bars at the golf clubs. But in reality, when things have to be done, very few of them will support that. It does not mean that we don't have people who are supporting it. I've got them. I've got guys who are supporting the program.
Yes.
As much as it is aligned with the golf union, because it had to start somewhere.
Yes.
And more especially with the administrative part, because golf, it is administered at different levels
Yes.
within these bodies. Now, when it comes to our township environment, that's where it hurts me the most, because when I look at how Davidton was 15, 20 years ago,
Yes.
it was our crown jewel in the township. But now you drive into Davidton.
Yeah.
I teach the kids still, even there, on Thursdays and Fridays.
Yes.
And it breaks my heart when what we have to go through.
Yeah.
But what I do is I try and take those kids and take them to a better place where they can have still that kind of aspiration in seeing a better environment.
Yes.
But the support that we need is to make sure that our black business, the black guys, they must support the programs that we have. Let's just cut the politicians off aside a little bit, because as much as they are there, but they are not really doing much for the benefit of our township sport. So I'm tired of laying blames onto their doorstep.
Okay.
But it's now we need the support of black business, and for us as administrators to penetrate by being there visibly, doing what we have to do, teach these kids, let them do something, then the rest will be able to sort itself out.
Yeah. What are some of the few things, if you were to be given an opportunity to speak to the Minister of Sports and Culture, Gayton McKenzie, currently, as he's seen as an energetic minister, if we were to address this issue to him, given an opportunity, what would you focus on?
You know, I still have that belief of Ubuntu, because that is where everything gets to be built up, culturally and morally. Gayton McKenzie seems to understand some of those issues.
Okay.
As much as his background is relevant to us, as people can call him names, whatever, I'm not worried about that. The man, he's the one who wants to get his hands dirty and get things done. We need people like those. Because if I approach him and say, Gayton, listen here, here's a challenge. It's not just all about money. It's about the resources. Get a construction company to do 1, 2, and 3. But believe you me, some of those money mongers, they will be the first one to try and get into that kind of contractual obligation that has to be done to rebuild the structure in our township. So we need people who will be just given the opportunity and say, here's the situation, go and fix this within a certain time frame. I'm tired of the situation in MZ whereby, we've seen, as I was part of the committee,
Yes.
there were consortiums who were interested in taking the land in Davidton
And develop it.
and develop it for some kind of a shopping complex.
Yes.
It failed because of some of those people within those kind of consortiums, the ones who had money. Unfortunately, one of the guys passed away. He passed away. He was from KZN.
Okay.
Now, our politician, I was once told by somebody who was a director of sports in Ekurhuleni,
Yes.
that once there's no way we're going to spend 60 million in rebuilding Davidton Golf Club. Or there is a land that was relocated.
Yes.
I mean, that was allocated for us to build a golf course, but the funding was not going to be coming through because I was told directly it's not going to happen. We've got other burning issues, but
very sad.
even those issues have never been taken care of.
Yes.
Our townships are in tatters.
Yeah.
And people are always running around playing games, telling us, no, this has to be done, this has to be done. Nothing comes through.
Yes.
But as I'm speaking to you now, I still have some guys which were doing things now under wraps.
Okay.
I'm not going to be exposing what we are doing, but
Yeah.
we are in a process of doing something to make sure that we revive the spirit
Yes.
of the game and make sure that that facility gets better.
Yes.
If we have to improve the little facility that we have,
Yes.
it's going to happen.
Absolutely. You've mentioned quite a number of few institutions or organizations that you belong to. Now we have moved from only focusing on the township. There's integration. There are those kids who are born now in suburbs, in the gated estates and everything else. Would you, if given an opportunity, would you also train those and have a similar vigor to say, we want to also achieve and bring those kids out of the street and make them play golf?
Mzi, to be honest, my brother,
Yeah.
our focus at the moment is still the previous disadvantaged kids.
Okay.
There are those kids out there whom their families can afford. The structures are there, they play in tournaments, but I've seen them, some of them come and gone.
Yes.
But within the Ekurhuleni Golf Union,
Yes.
I can tell you right now, I've got 3 youngsters that came out of the program that we have.
Yes.
Casey Javas, Ryan, Jaden Shaper, another one now who's coming up, Warwick Peches, Jordan Bernard.
Wow.
We had Zama Asane,
Yes.
who stays at Ebutsi.
Yes.
I had Sean Tsipa. But the top pros now, some of them that are out there,
Yes.
Yurav Primral,
Yeah.
those are some of the young guys that came through from our union.
Yes.
We had Christian Pezedenot.
Wow.
Those guys, they are playing all over the world,
Yes.
especially Jaden Shaper, Casey Chavas, and Ryan van Velzen,
Yeah.
who's at Benoni Country Club.
Wow.
And we used to call them Martin's babies. Martin was our past president
Oh, okay.
who passed away
Yeah,
some years
yeah.
back.
Okay.
And I've seen those kids growing up.
Yeah.
When we were hosting the XA Open in Ekurhuleni,
Yes.
there was so much that we benefited out of that
Okay.
because we were able to get a scholarship for some of the kids to go to Tax
Yeah.
from grade 8 to grade 12.
Okay.
I had one kid who
Tax
succeeded.
is the University of Pretoria, where
Yeah.
they have these high performance centers for all the sporting codes.
So
Okay.
there were structures that were in place, and I applaud that to Mondli Ngungubele because
Yes.
hence he was the Minister of Sports in Gauteng
Yes,
back then.
yes.
And then he moved to Ekurhuleni and he became a mayor. He is the one who initiated that we should host the SA Open.
Yes.
Him and some of the people that negotiated it through
Wow.
Kaya Ngula.
Wow.
Kaya, when he was still part of the SAA,
Yes, I
getting
remember
things,
him.
yeah. So, in those era, in that era, Mzi, so much had transpired, and
Yeah.
golf in Ekurhuleni sort of like blossomed,
Yes.
but not only just as a sport, but
Yes.
also as a way in giving back to some of the kids, because we had kids who were like athletics, golf, and aquatics that
Okay.
went to Tax.
Wow.
So that 4 years, the municipality was paying for those kids
Yo.
to participate in that school, which was about 140,000 rand per annum,
Per kid.
Per kid.
Yo.
per kid.
Wow. That
and
is
that money
beautiful.
came through from the gate takings
Yes.
that we received.
Yes.
through sale, the company that was running, the showcasing and the marketing of the SA Open.
Yeah. I think we deserve a second episode when you unpack all this. I can see you've got lots and lots of information about golf. Now, coming back to you as Loyiso, what are some of those people that you want to highlight and thank for who you are in terms of you as an individual, in terms of you as a golfer, and people who influenced you positively?
Mzi, golf has taught me one thing. Mm-hmm. As much as we get into kind of team events and teamwork,
yes,
golf is an individual sport. Mm-hmm. But now, administratively, it has made me to become part of the bigger structure, of which it started in Davidton.
Yes.
And the guys, when we voted the committee in, as the younger guys back then in 2003, to try and make sure that we revive the structure of that club,
yes,
I became one of the representatives being assisted by the guys.
Okay. Mention
Sidney Matonsela,
yes,
he was part of those.
Yes.
Vusi Mabanga, Stephen Murotolo, Alex Maluka, Desmond Maloba.
Wow.
That was the Davidton guys who said, we need the young guys to make sure that they can do this a lot better. But I was not doing it on my own. I had that kind of support structure.
Yes.
Then when I became an executive member at Ekurhuleni Golf Union,
yes,
then, you get there, and then the main support came from Martin Simon, our past president.
Okay.
He's the one who... I started junior golf in Ekurhuleni when we took over from a junior foundation,
yes,
when the bodies were incorporated. So I started junior golf. Martin would take me to tournaments. I had no car.
yeah,
The car that I'm driving now is the car that I ended up buying recently
okay,
from the union.
yeah,
But Martin was the one who said to me, he would pick me up at Brakpan Circle,
yes,
going to Springs, going to Royal Oak in Brakpan and State Mines. That's where I did those first two tournaments.
okay,
So the structure of being assisted by the executive at Ekurhuleni Golf Union back then,
yes,
it got me to a point where he took me and said, let's go to to SAGA.
yeah,
I'm tired of fighting you all the time here. We need to go and fight our issues
yeah,
up there.
up there, wow,
I made a difference when we got there because there were some of the things that happened.
yes,
And those changes, I was always vocal. And I would speak my heart out. And some guys, they didn't like it. But
in the name of transformation, for that matter.
it had to be.
Yes,
It had to be. And Martin was for that.
yes,
And eventually I came back. I became a member at Benoni Country Club after a while. It's been 10 years now.
wow,
I fought some battles also at Country Club because
Yes.
politicians were trying to engage themselves in trying to destroy some of the things that we had.
yeah. No, as we close, how would you advise then a younger aspiring golfer who wants to join the ranks of yourselves and many other personalities that we have made mention of? How would you then encourage them?
Mzi, I always refer to you as Mzi. It's me out.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, it's me out. And this situation, it depends on one's passion.
Yes.
For me, I'm driven by passion
Okay.
for this game and making a difference to these kids because, back in the days, we grew up a Godfather.
Yeah.
There was gangsterism. It doesn't mean that it's something new. We
Yes.
grew up, we survived that.
Yes.
And now, some of the kids, I even relate the story whereby I was arrested in Pretoria in 97, and my son, he was just some few months old. And as we were on trial, because, it was just a process of you were arrested over the weekend,
Yeah.
you got to appear in court on Monday.
That justice process,
Yes,
court process.
And then they denied us bail. We went to Kgosi Mampuru, which is New Lock,
Yes.
from Central Police Station. We stayed there, unfortunately, for 3 months. And I was an employee of a company in Elandsfontein.
Okay.
But I was working under a managing director of the company. So
Yes.
I was not fired
Okay.
until I came back and let them know what
happened?
What happened? What was I arrested for?
Yeah.
But what caught my eye when I was in prison, one morning as we going out to have our breakfast. You know, we used to have those telecom cards that we would have to make calls with. Because,
on the public phones.
Yeah, there were no cell phones back then. So we got those. As I was going to make a call, I saw these young colored boys, man. It hit
Who were
me
in
hard.
prison as well.
In prison, yeah. It hit me hard that, I mean, these are lighties, 14, 15.
Sure.
And then I just peeped within that space because they were the juveniles.
The juveniles, yes.
They went and had their breakfast before the trials. And then after them, it was us, the guys were trying. And I didn't know that, but I picked it up as they were going back to their cells.
Yes.
Then I saw these boys. I said, "What's up, Loyiso?" And the one, he turned around, he looked at me and said, "What's the And I thought, you know, and my mind was racing so quickly.
Yeah.
I said, "Nee, jele moet by die huisfees, met jele always, nee,
Wat doen julle hierso?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That lady said, "Nee, jy pla ons nou. Hey." You know, that's when I realized, I said, it's going to be difficult for these boys to be rehabilitated. Because to them, it was more like they've accepted that in order for you to become a better somebody, you have to go through via the prison routine.
Wow, that's
sad.
sad.
When I got back after I got bail,
Yeah.
the first thing that I decided to do,
Yes.
I even spoke to my mom about that before.
I understand.
I said, you know what? I saw something which I didn't like. I don't think I can allow our kids to have that kind of mindset, like some of the kids that I saw in prison. And my mom said, "What is it?" I said, "I need to start this development thing." That was in 1997.
Yes.
Got back to golf after, because I was working also.
Yeah.
So I started this program. I went to David and I said, "Guys, we need to do something about these kids." But there was a friend of mine, Theo Dawa, who was staying in Pelewan also.
Yeah.
But he was staying in Itwatwa back then.
Yeah.
He had his own things that he had in mind because his son was also playing.
Yeah.
So there was a bit of a conflict amongst ourselves. But for me, I was driven.
Yeah. What was his name, Gonje?
Tobela.
Tobela, yes. I wanted to say that.
I was driven by that passion
Yeah.
to say, I need to make a change here
Yes.
before things go out of hand.
Yes.
Because once the kids get to the other side, they may not be retrieved or saved.
Yes.
So to me, the love of the game and the love of oneself,
Yes.
because, you know, Ubuntu, it has taught us so many things. The value of humanity,
Yes.
especially amongst everybody. It's not just a matter of race,
Absolutely.
you know.
Yeah.
And that is where it starts, that the kid needs to be taught that he needs to have self-respect and self-love of his other human beings.
Okay. All right.
Then from there, we can be able to work all these other dynamics
Yes.
to get the kid to understand other values better than his peers.
Yes.
But that's what drives me. It's that kind of love that I have for the game
Yeah.
and of oneself.
Yeah. One thing I pick up is it's the passion that we have for the game, the information, the knowledge, and everything else that goes with it. It's in you, but it takes years for it to develop. So like I said earlier on, we need a second episode to sort of continue where we left off. All those things that we didn't do, we didn't share, we'll need to share them so that we know and attract a number of kids to play golf. In closing, what would you say in a word or two?
Love yourself, love your fellow human beings, and let's love our country.
Wow. Thank you. That was Loyiso Barnes. Thank you very much. I'm signing out. My name is Mzima Singailu for the Town-Tok podcast. See you then. Thank you. Bye.